Hi there, and thank you for clicking on my video. We're just going to talk a bit about final prep for the quest coming up. Say you got your builds together, you've done a little bit of arcane farming, um, you're ready for the quest. Let's talk about the last couple of things because we're kind of dealing with a new arc in Warframe. And there's some minor stuff. Now, obviously, it's a quest, so the enemies aren't going to be an insane level. It's a mainline quest. But just some minor things, because first and foremost, the last thing you should be doing, but make sure to get it done. Pick a warframe, pick a loadout, and make sure you're looking good. I'm gonna go with a tank hero with a sentient set. Trying to decide on a Cyan Donner right now. It's a little difficult with the tonnage on getting the surfaces to line up. Yamamoto's probably going to win. But make sure on your builds, make sure you got ammo economy under control. We're probably going to be dealing with enemies. We know that the enemies have armor. We don't know what their weaknesses are. So we're looking at generic setups, no faction mods, because this is a new faction. Though they did say that the faction mods are going to be available day one. We're obviously not going to have access to the Prime variants. So looking for raw damage builds, um, things that don't require a huge amount of status chance to be effective. So like things like maybe like an encumber build on your secondary. Like I'm going to be taking the Aki core. Um, and Prisma Oma, just for the sentient set look. It's slash electric, so if they have shields, the electricity will take care of that. With a shattering impact setup, and Archiplasmor for bigger damage. If I'm trying to get like headshots or something like that. And a tank Harrow, very, very stable, easy to use frame. Um, Not sure about quick thinking though. But you're just looking for a generic setup that's, stable on its own. Isn't reliant on health orbs or energy orbs. Your pet is going to be a big help. We're going to be taking one of the hounds, just set up for, spreading statuses, something that's a little harder to kill in terms of taking blunt damage. Obviously, the quest isn't going to be super hard, but the fact is that I always approach going into quest. The quests to me in Warframe are just as important as, like, say, the movement in Warframe. So making sure to maximize enjoyment on the quest is a big fucking deal. Because a lot of the newer players in the Clan and Alliance um, weren't around, or they burned through things like the sacrifice. So the aspect of dealing with quests where there's a lot of waiting and there's a lot of tension that builds, and like, going through the whole like hype build up, and then you get something like the sacrifice or the second dream. They weren't really around for. It was just the quest reviewed as something to just like burn through. So a lot of you have caught up. Um, Done with the star chart. Probably last couple of missions on Steel Path. Make sure you got your standings in order, especially Deimos. I'm assuming some of the standing and mods that we're going to be needing are going to be coming from there. Fortuna, stuff like that. We don't know where the mods are going to be dropping from. So just make sure you got a little bit of standing available. You don't need to have everything maxed, and obviously at this point you couldn't if you didn't have any standing. But it's just you need to be able to give yourself options. Make sure you got a loadout. and to ditch the faction mods. They're not going to help you on this quest because, one, the enemies are going to be low level and it's not going to matter, and two, it's a new faction, which is sort of like the new thing. So when modding for this, make sure no faction. And other than that, just play for, like a somewhat tanky frame, because we don't know exactly what the missions are going to be. Obviously, we know what the missions that we're getting that are new. So we have like the exterminate, the mobile defense that's endless, and the assassination mission. But in terms of the quest line itself, it's really up to DE, and you just kind of gotta let DE take the wheel on this. So take something really generic, middle of the road, high survivability, does a bit of damage, but isn't relying on like a gimmick. I'm a big fan of relying on weapon damage for quest lines. Make sure you got your amp in order. I'm taking the 777 with a CC on energy expenditure and crit damage on headshots, or percent chance to increase crit damage. So just really basic stuff. Generic, there's no big brain aspect to this, but because of the fact that it's a new faction, we're not really sure what their defenses are going to be. We could be looking at damage attenuation. We could be looking at flat damage reduction. We don't know. And also, like, status caps. This is sort of, DE's bag of making enemies really, really tanky nowadays, right? But if you're trying to get some last-minute prep in order, the fact is that there isn't really a lot you can do. Basic prep is going to be get some syndicate standing. Make sure you have a syndicate that you're repping that you can gain standing in. So if you need to get stuff, so I got 2 at 132. We are going to be getting a new frame. So make sure you have Warframe slots. Make sure you got mod slots for the new weapons. So what is it? 1 new Warframe. So a Warframe slot and at least 3 weapon slots. So as you go through and say, like, we're going to be getting the Grimoire, there's the new hammer that we're going to be getting, and probably a couple others, especially from like the Syndicate that we're getting. So make sure you got a couple of empty weapon slots. So if you're maxed on slots, don't have the plat to buy new ones, maybe go through and trim 2 or 3 built weapons that you've mastered. Just trash them out, sell them for credits, so you can actually enjoy the update, because there's nothing more garbage than going through this, getting some cool new shiny stuff, and then not being able to use it because you don't have slots. And the fact is we're going to be farming new mods for the Grimoire. Pablo on Twitter posted a fire rate radiation mod for pistols, so we're looking at needing to farm that stuff up. But the fact is that generally the quest reward weapons for these mainline quests are always super strong, right? Like you've got like the Nataruk, you've got the Broken War, the Zorus. These are all not necessarily meta defining, but incredibly useful weapons. So make sure you get the stand or the space to be able to slot these so you can enjoy them. If you're somebody that likes rolling Rivens, like I've got a nice pile of Rivens available, depending on what mod type the Grimoire uses for Rivens. I'm kind of hoping it's pistols, but the fact is it would make complete sense for it to be like a extra category, which would also make getting Riven's for it super easy, right? Because it'd be the only one in its category. You get one, unroll it, and it's the Grimoire. Um, so it should be pretty interesting. Um, I would kind of expect Rivens, if this is a new category, I would expect the Rivens to not be worth a lot if it's truly a new category. Because with Zaws, with pistols, you have melee shotgun, primary or like rifle. Um, there's a big pool associated with it. So all you would be doing now with the Grimoire is rolling whatever category of, or trying to get whatever category of Riven that it is, and because it would be the only one in its category, if that's the way they divide it up. I'm thinking it's going to be a pistol though, even though it's a fucking book. But make sure you got space for that stuff. Um, so yeah, we're on the final couple things. Get a couple Forma available. If you're doing last minute prep and you have Forma blueprints, if you're rushing, it's 5 plat cheaper to rush Forma blueprints than to buy the bundle. Just make sure you got, give or take, 5 for a frame. Get an Aura Forma going. You have time to build one. If the quest is like 2-3 hours at the time of this recording, you would have enough time to build an Aura Forma and at least one Forma. An Exilis, an Exilis adapter. You need one for the frame, one for the weapon. You would have time to build those now. Make sure you got a primary, at least a primary and a secondary, 2 secondaries. And we're probably going to have to see, and I would say make sure to maybe farm a little bit of Steel Essence, maybe about 100, because we're going to be getting melee arcanes, right? And melee Tennokai, what is it, like an Exilis adapter or something like that? You're going to need to be farming those up also. So having a little bit of Steel Essence, I'd say about 100, just to be able to get through the day tomorrow. Because you're going to be farming. The big thing tomorrow is enjoy the quest as much as possible. Bring whatever you're comfortable with. Because the fact is it's the day before. People are going to be doing, there's going to be a rush for the first level cap. I'm probably going to do the level cap over the weekend. But the fact is that it's going to be new mission types. People are going to be making guides. I'm going to be trying to enjoy the game, and I suggest that's what all of you do also. There's going to be people that are trying to spoil, though the community for Warframe generally is incredibly respectable. I'm actually going to get rid of the Signa. It looks ugly as hell. So make sure you have stuff to be able to build up your old weapons, because there's going to be the adapters. Make sure you're sitting on some Steel Essence. Because I tend to use all of mine. But I probably have like 200 right now. So I can get the new adapters for melees. So it is what it is. If that ends up being it, maybe they could have misspoke, and it's going to be like a melee arcane on like another part of the frame. But if it is a melee adapter, I've got the Steel Essence, I got the flexibility to see how it's going. So the fact is get some Steel Essence, farm up some standing. There might be a chance that something from Lloyd is going to be what we're going to end up needing our standing from. I don't know. That's bullshitting from me. But the fact is I have standing sitting in all of the factions. So if I do need something from someplace, I'm not stuck interrupting the quest line or doing the new missions because all of a sudden I have to go get standing somewhere. So it is what it is. Make sure you guys take care of yourselves. This is a short little PSA, about 15 minutes. And for your new players, if this is your first big quest line update, this is something new. Deviri was kind of the end, plus a detour for Warframe's last big arc of like story. So this is starting the next one. So this is kind of a big deal. I mean, about as big of a deal as a quest line can be, right? But this is something new. I'm excited for it in terms of like the direction of the game. Um, we're going to be meeting some of the people that have been like we're meeting what like the original Lloyd. We're starting to get more into like the ancient people, the people that actually directly influence the way the solar system is, and we're around dealing with like these are the Orokin people, and it wasn't until like the Zeraman, right, where we regularly interacted with them, um, in any fashion, right? Like it was always like through lore, but we're actually dealing with like the Orokin now, and they're not like infested. So I'm excited. It's a new direction for Warframe. 1999 looks pretty good. It's definitely different. I hope they execute it right. But right now we got Whispers in the Wall, and that's sort of my PSA. Make sure to enjoy yourselves. Take a frame that can do a little bit of everything. I'm going to be taking Harrow, CC, a little bit of damage, buffs to everybody. It should be a good time. But anyway, take it easy, guys. Have a blessed day. Make sure to get those slots done. Make sure you got some Steel Essence. Get the Exilus mods sorted out. You got time to build all of that. And if you're rushing Forma for whatever reason, it's a couple pieces cheaper to burn through blueprints of Forma. If you're buying, and you only need like, say you're gonna have the frame, you're gonna have his weapon, the grimoire, the hammer. So, oh, and also congrats to everybody. I'm gonna be getting it tomorrow, but congrats to everybody who's getting LR4. So I'm gonna be getting it tomorrow, or at least have the standing to. Now whether the quest is gonna be or the challenge is gonna be available, but it is what it is. So congrats to those guys. I'm in the same boat. It's not as hype as MR30 was, but it's still pretty cool. So it's not a big deal. And also, if you want to make a little bit of plat, make sure if you've been an ESO runner, I've been selling Bratton Vandal blueprints to a bunch of nerds because every day I basically do like one round 8 ESO run or like 2, especially to test out builds. I'll always test them in like ESO as like one of the stress tests. So I've been making a bit of plat, selling out those blueprints. If you have any of the hard to get blueprints, like just from RNG after like keeping them over like a year or two, those really, really annoying weapons to farm, like the wraiths from the invasions, are going to carry a premium tomorrow. So make sure to get those sales set up. The Vandal stuff, like the Lotto Vandal, the Bratton Vandal, it's not going to be as big of a pump as when MR30 came out. But every time a new MR comes out, the blueprints and the parts for dead content always gets a spike because people are trying to get the new MR. So make sure you get that stuff in order. Make sure to get those postings ready. Because that stuff's pumping right now, but tomorrow on the day, that last minute rush, people aren't going to be farming. They're not going to be like, oh, I'm going to farm a Bratton Vandal blueprint. No. In order for them to get that done and the 2 other weapons that they need, the shit that they've been slacking off on, they gotta buy that shit. So make sure you got that stuff ready if you haven't been selling it already. Every time a new MR comes out, the ESO parts and blueprints and all that go for a premium. And say like stuff like the ambassador. Like I even saw in recruiting chat multiple people doing ambassador farm parties Like, guys, just do Void Storms. Just chill out. Just do Void Storm survivals. I used to sell the shit out of ambassador parts. It's absolutely silly not to do Void Storm survivals when the right relic type comes up. But people don't like Railjack, so Railjack stuff like the Epitaph has had a slight spike. Um, but yeah. Anyway, PSA over. Enjoy the quest, new bros. We're on to something new. I wouldn't say it's a massive deal, but it's definitely a bigger deal than you're used to. Deviri was a nice detour, but mentally for me, it didn't feel like it was really part of the main quest. Because I know in my clan and alliance, a lot of people joined because of the Deviri fresh start that was available. Granted, they kind of killed that, but this is for a lot of you, this is the first time you've seen like a quest update, and you've been burning through old content to make sure that you're ready for this. So we're all sort of taking this step together. But anyway, take it easy, guys. Have a blessed day.